This paper is a short paper. It's about the academic responses to the creation evolution debate. In the process of my research, I have encountered about a dozen books or papers or articles which deal with the creation evolution debate in a way that is an analysis by those who disagree with creationism, what their arguments are. What strikes me is the way in which these academic responses fail to engage whatsoever with the work they're looking at. In fact, it is amazing that people who claim to be academics who are supposed to read and study their opponent's arguments do so little reading and studying of their opponent's arguments when it comes to the issue of creation. And almost universally, I found that there was no proper engagement. They would dismiss the whole idea of creation science, usually with one or two paragraphs or pages, and their bibliography, which gives you an indication as to what research they'd done, that was which books had they read, would indicate that they'd actually not read any books or read only one or two books that are pertinent to creation science. This is not appropriate for academic work. If I'm going to study something and going to critique it, the first obligation I have is to have read the stuff and to give the very best interpretation of what I've read, not to ignore it and give a caricature assessment of it. And because that has been the academic response, and I have to say quite a lot of times the academic world has not even responded at all, and that has been the claim of people like John Sandford, who said that none of the academics responded to his work, the claim of Steve Taylor, who when he presented his work in September last year, found that none of the scientists were interested. Generally speaking, there's been no response. Matti Lazola, a geneticist from Finland, would say the same thing has happened to him when he has put forward the case for intelligent design, that for 40 years there's been either minimal response or the response has been of a caricature version, an utterly inappropriate version for academics to do. And this is worrying because this subject is very, very serious. Because if these creation scientists are correct, and there's every reason to believe they are correct, and that's what all the articles on this site are pointing towards, then we are dealing with a major problem. We are heading towards the second coming, and the academic world is trying to persuade us that there is no God. That is very, very, very serious, because young people, impressionable people, are being taught there is no God, when all the evidence, when properly looked at, points in the opposite direction. People are being robbed of their eternal salvation because the experts say there's nothing to find when it comes to God. And I suppose that's been the reason why I produced this website, was in order to stir people up to see that there's in fact overwhelming evidence for the existence of God. And my great heart cry and prayer is that the academic world, as it were, fulfills its mandate from God, its cultural mandate, which is to present the truth. That the academic world would return to the truth and see that the evidence points to God, and then declare that to all their students, and maybe we would see a second Reformation. Would that God open the hearts of the academic world to see the truth and open the gates for a second Reformation. Well, thank you for listening.